So a lot of us have probably realized that all EQs are not made the same. Some EQs we use for its workflow, for the GUI, for the way it sounds in some of its features. Well, Slate Digital has released the Infinity EQ 2, and it has a major update that the original did not have before, and that is dynamic EQ. Now, I'll be honest with you, I wasn't using the original Infinity EQ, and this was primarily the reason. I felt as if it doesn't have a dynamic EQ section, I can find another EQ that has all of the bells and whistles I need as opposed to that separate job. Well, now they implemented this dynamic EQ section, and I'll be super honest with you, I really like the sound of the dynamic EQ section, and I'm gonna show you what it sounds like so you can make your own decision from this. I'll also be very honest with you and let you know that Slate Digital is sponsoring this video, but nonetheless, this is not a review. This is me just breaking down the plugin, and you decide for yourself at the end of it if you like it and if you want to implement it into your workflow. I found it to be really helpful, and I like the sound of it, so that's why I decided to do this and actually show you, as well as obviously Slate Digital is sponsoring it. But I had to say yes, and I really do enjoy it, and we'll see if you like it for yourself. By all means, make your own decision when you hear it. Okay, so let's go into the DAW. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play you a vocal sound, right? And we're just gonna hear this vocal for what it is. So this is what the vocal sounds like by itself. And I want to help you identify what problems or what things we can attack in it from a dynamic EQ standpoint. Check this out. I never wanna see you with somebody. I never wanna hear about your name. I never wanna fill my bed without you. Everybody want, but they can't taste the scent of your perfume on my sheets. You're stimulating every sense of me. Cool. So that's the vocal sound. Now let's play that vocal in context with music, and then we'll identify things we feel like we might want to attack. Listen to this in context with music. I never wanna see you with somebody. I never wanna hear about your name. I never wanna fill my bed without you. Everybody want, but they can't taste the scent of your perfume on my sheets. You're stimulating every sense of me. Okay, so two things I'm noticing. One, I feel like the vocal is a bit boomy, and I want to clean it up a little bit, kind of like in that low mid area. Then on the other side, I feel like there's a little bit of hotness or transient or the S's and T's that I'm getting. I kind of want to attack those and kind of just ease up on those a little bit to make the vocal feel a little bit smoother. So this is the Infinity EQ 2. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go to work. I'm gonna try to find that resonance or that boominess that I'm hearing in the vocal. And then I'm also gonna try to find that S and T high end that's bothering me as far as the high end is concerned as well. So basically we're gonna attempt to de-ess within this with dynamic EQ, and then we're gonna try to get rid of some of that boominess with dynamic EQ. So let's find where that boominess is bothering me the most. So let's mute this right quick and let's find it. I never wanna see you with somebody. I never wanna hear about your name. I never wanna fill my bed without you. Everybody want, but they can't taste the scent of your perfume on my sheets. You're stimulating every sense of me. I'm doing everything. Okay, so right here is where I feel like I'm hearing some of that boominess. So now that I've kind of soloed in on it and kind of honed in on it, I'm now gonna open up this dynamic section, like so. And let's add some dynamic EQ to try and control it. I never wanna see you with somebody. I never wanna hear about your name. I never wanna fill my bed without you. Everybody want, but they can't taste the scent of your perfume on my sheets. Now what we're gonna do is let's bypass this back and forth. Without first. I never wanna see you with somebody. I never wanna hear about your name. I never wanna fill my bed without you. Everybody want, but they can't taste the scent of your perfume on my sheets. You're stimulating every sense of me. I'm doing everything just to keep you. Controlling some of that boominess. Now, let's go up to the S's and T's and try to find that stuff. I never wanna see you with somebody. I never wanna hear about your name. I never wanna fill my bed without you. Everybody want, but they can't taste the scent of your perfume on my sheets. You're stimulating every sense of me. Kind of honed in on it, and now let's open up the dynamic section, like so, and let's try to ease up on that a bit. I never wanna see you with somebody. I never wanna hear about your name. I never wanna fill my bed without you. Everybody want, but they can't taste the scent of your perfume on my sheets. You're stimulating every sense of me. I'm doing everything just to keep you. You the only one I see. But I know right now that your love ain't free. Know that you can do better than me. Now let's bypass this back and forth. Without first. I never wanna see you with somebody. I never wanna hear about your name. I never wanna fill my bed without you. Everybody want, but they can't taste the scent of your perfume on my sheets. You're stimulating every sense of me. I'm doing everything just to keep you. You the only one I see. But I know right now that your love ain't free. Know that you can do better than me. You're the only one I can see. It's really nice, really smooth, really transparent, and it doesn't feel so aggressive. It just feels like it's attacking those problems that I look for and notches them out. And this is what I was talking about with not all EQs are made the same. Yes, there are a lot of different dynamic EQs out there, etc. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I really enjoy the sound of this one as far as what Slate Digital has chosen for the attack and release of just the sonics, of how it's deciding to compress those ranges and things of that nature. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it in context with the music. I'm going to bypass it back and forth in context with the music. And then I want you to listen to that difference of how it cleaned things up now with it being in context to the music. And then we'll go through the entire plugin. I'll show you all the parameters and basically how the thing works. But for right now, let's just have some fun. Let's listen to it in context with music. And then let's bypass the EQ back and forth. So without first, and then we'll put it back on. So listen close. I never wanna see you with somebody. I never wanna hear about your name. I never wanna fill my bed without you. Everybody want, but they can't taste the scent of your perfume on my sheets. You're stimulating every sense of me. I'm doing everything just to keep you. You the only one I see. But I know right now that your love ain't free. Know that you can do better than me. You're the only one I can see to make me better. But I know right now that your love ain't free. I know that you can do better than me. So it really helped to tighten up the dynamics a bit to me, where that boominess was happening when I know a kick, a bass, and other elements come in. I know that that vocal is probably going to compete and clash there and kind of muddy up that range. So this dynamic EQ I use to kind of tighten up the dynamics as far as that region is concerned. And then obviously with the S's and T's and that sibilance that I was hearing, I used the dynamic EQ just to tame some of that sibilance as well, because I know that's going to pop through on the EQ. Cool. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to go back to its factory default. Let's save this because I actually do like this setting for the song. I'm not going to lie. And what I'm going to do is I am going to start to go through the parameters of the EQ and how the thing works. And then you can make your own decision from there. But I just wanted to get you off and running and just let you hear what it sounds like. Okay, so let's go through the parameters of the EQ. So what you can do is, as far as trying to open up a band or create a band, is you double click anywhere you want. I can double click up here. For instance, I can double click here on this point or that point or here. I can just double click and obviously the band will show up like most EQs. I like the way the GUI is laid out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click this and here's a band. So obviously the band, when you see it, you're greeted with your frequency slider as so, and then you're also greeted with your gain reduction or boosting knob. On the left hand side, you can turn the EQ on and off. You can also solo the band with the headphone, as so, as you saw me do earlier. And then if we go on up to the actual EQ, we'll see a bunch of different parameters within the band as well. Obviously, like I said before, this is self-explanatory. You got the power on and off, which you can turn the band on and off. And then you have the solo function, which if you click it up here, it'll hold that as long as you hold the actual mouse. But if you click it down here, it'll just stay in latch at this particular band. So up here, we have these two sliders. So we have one slider right here going up, and we have another slider right here going horizontal. If I actually start to boost or reduce the band, we can actually see what this does. The band that is vertical is the dB per octave. when I take it, I can change the shape of the actual EQ. Depending on if I want it to feel more pointy or if I want it to be more round, I can choose so depending on what I'm looking for. So this is the dB per octave that you can alter the shape of the actual filter as far as everything with the band. So that's there. On this side, we have what you would commonly call in a lot of EQs, the Q control for me, or the bandwidth. And basically you can go left or right to tighten the Q or the bandwidth or widen it. Self-explanatory. If you're familiar with EQ, you know the vibes. Okay. So now if we go to the right-hand side, we'll see a few other things. One in particular is you'll see this lock function. And with the lock function, basically all it does is if I press lock, this EQ band is now stuck right there in place, won't move. So as you can see, I'm clicking it and trying to move it and it's not there. I thought that was a pretty slightly cool feature. And the reason why is because there are times where I'll go to an EQ, open it, click and mess up and move it a little bit. Granted, undo is a great feature on your actual EQs and plugins and stuff like that. But I thought it was just a really cool kind of attention to detail kind of thing just to add a lock to lock frequency bands in place and things of that nature. So that's there. The other thing we have here is the stereo, or basically you can manipulate the actual image of the EQ with being just EQing the mids, just EQing the side information, just EQing the left side, or just EQing the right side, depending on the band. So like a lot of other EQs out there, you can choose if you just want to EQ 500 hertz of just the mid section, or 500 hertz of just the side section. Or if you want to make the left side of the sound 500 hertz 2 dB louder than the right side 7,000 hertz 4 dB louder or quieter. This is actually a really cool idea and trick. I've actually learned this from Luca Predalesi, where you EQ the left side of a sound differently, a little bit differently from the right side of a sound in different bands. And what that does is it kind of sometimes creates this kind of sensation of width. It's very interesting. It's a phase trick. Do not overuse that. Be very careful. Let me show you how you can open this up and things of that nature. So if I go right here to this kind of, I call it like a Venn diagram to me. I've always laughed at this icon. When I click it, I now enter a mode of mid or side. So if I click here, now I am only affecting the mids of the frequencies of 203 hertz. And if I click side or S, now I'm just affecting the side information of 203 hertz. So that's basically how you go to that. Pressing this will bring it back to the middle. If I click it again, you'll see that now I can choose if I want to affect the left side only of this particular range, 203 hertz, or if I hit R, now I'm affecting just the right side of 203 hertz. Pretty self-explanatory. And then if I click it again, I am in stereo mode. This is me affecting the overall sound in stereo mode, which is pretty much the default of most of our EQs. If I come on over here, this is the band type. And basically this allows you to choose the kind of band that you're gonna have as far as the EQ is concerned in this band. So if I click here, you'll see this wheel. As I hover over it, you can see that it kind of gives me a preview of every single band type that it has in its arsenal. So as I go around, you'll see high pass, low passes, bells, all kinds of things, band passes, all kinds of different filters or bands that you can actually use to actually manipulate the sound and things of the nature. Really nice, just allowing you to see it all right here in this wheel space right there. And then last but not least, you have enable dynamic features, which is basically what we were doing earlier with the dynamic EQ setting. And this is the biggest update in the entire plugin. If I click this, you'll see the dynamic EQ section will start to open up and the layout changes. At the very bottom, you still have those common knobs, as you can see, changing the frequency, altering the gain, whether you're boosting or cutting. And then now we're opening up to the dynamic section. Right here, we have target. And basically what the target is allowing you to depict is whether you want to, in the dynamic EQ, cut, or if you want to expand or boost. If I change the target to the positive side, now I'll get an EQ that is not compressing, but more or less expanding, which is a cool feature. And I think a lot of people overlook too in their dynamic EQs. Let's take a look at what it sounds like actually. So let's turn this to 0 and let's look at what dynamic EQing sounds like.
I never wanna see you with somebody. I never wanna hear about your name. I never wanna fill my bed without you. Everybody want what they can't taste. The scent of your perfume on my sheets. You're stimulating every sense of me. I'm doing everything just to keep you. You the only one I see. But I know right now that your love ain't free. Know that you can do better than me.
So I've actually done this a few times with dynamic EQs, and it's a fun thing to do because sometimes when I feel like a vocal or just a sound source in general just needs a little bit more excitement and pop, then I'll go over to dynamic EQ and expand and basically boost that region depending on what the threshold is and things of that nature. So really cool feature. Like I said, it's a dynamic EQ. A lot of our dynamic EQs can do that, but not all of them sound the same. I enjoy the sound of that. Moving on. Okay, so that's the target. Obviously, if I put it in the negative, that is going to decrease the actual or attenuate these regions that I have depicted for it to do. Moving over here to the right, I have threshold. Now, with the threshold, basically, this is you telling the dynamic EQ, listen, when you pass a certain threshold, I want you to compress or basically attenuate. Or if you pass a certain threshold, I want you to expand. Either one, depending on the target, okay? So if it passes a certain threshold, obviously, it will begin to compress that region. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to disable this auto threshold, which I'm going to be honest with you, I just leave on because I really like how it just kind of intelligently depicts the threshold and things of that nature. And it's just less things for me to worry about as far as the knobs. I'll turn it off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to manipulate the threshold just so you can see when depending on where I place the threshold is when it is going to basically attenuate or boost. So check this out.
I never wanna see you with somebody. I never wanna hear about your name. I never wanna fill my bed without you. Everybody want what they can't taste. The scent of your perfume on my sheets. You're stimulating every sense of me. I'm doing everything just to keep you.
So you can obviously see, depending on where I place the threshold, for myself, I can decide what I want to attenuate or boost, depending on what passes that threshold. As far as I say to myself where I want it to start actually processing and things of that. So on the right hand side, I have the auto threshold, which I like. I just like the algorithm. I like how it sounds, and to be honest with you, I'm probably just gonna leave it here. If I feel like I need to get more intricate with things, then I'll take it off and decide for myself. But I'll be honest with you, I'm enjoying the actual auto threshold that it has. Here you have where you can set up your side chaining. Obviously, you know about this with side chaining, the bass to the kicks and things of that nature. Not recommending that, but if you're aware of side chaining, you have the option here to actually set up side chains and stuff like that. If you're a Pro Tools user, when you set up the side chain, you just go here to the key input, and that's where the kick or whatever you want the side chain to be would come in on whatever bus you choose. So you would go to your kick, for instance, create a send to bus 6, and then basically the input of this for the sidechain would be bus 6, and that's basically what the EQ would actually listen to, just for people that are not aware or familiar with sidechaining. So that's there. Before I get to this time, let's go to the smooth and tight. So on this smooth and tight parameter, it's a different way that the compression or the dynamic EQing is attacking and releasing. What I want to do right now is I'm going to click tight. I want you to see how it's reacting and listen to the sound. And then I'm going to click smooth, and we want to see how it's reacting and listen to the sound. And then we'll explain it and talk about what's actually happening. So let's click tight first.
I never wanna see you with somebody. I never wanna hear about your name. I never wanna fill my bed without you. Everybody want what they can't taste. The scent of your perfume on my sheets. You're stimulating every sense of me. I'm doing everything just to keep you. You the only one I see.
So when I see it and when I hear it, what I notice with tight is attenuating things faster. It's grabbing things a lot faster. Smooth has a feeling of allowing some of those transients to still cut through within the exact band that you're using. So that's the real difference that I'm noticing. So where would I use tight versus smooth? When I'm using tight, I'm noticing that with tight, if I'm looking to de-ess something or get rid of some resonance, I want that to happen fairly fast, in my opinion, depending on what I'm trying to accomplish. I want to grab that stuff that I'm trying to get control of quickly and not let it shine through so I can have some more control over everything. When it comes to smooth, it's kind of like thinking of it like when I'm trying to get a more transient and exciting sound out of a kick, or just have something that is still allowing that transient to cut through, but just giving me a little bit of compression on the overall sound. So with smooth, you're allowing a little bit of that transient to still cut through, and with tight, you're really grabbing things a lot faster within the dynamic EQ section. I like that I have that functionality to choose the kind of algorithm that I want for the particular band. I think that's really powerful, and that's something honestly, I haven't seen on many dynamic EQs. I see set and forget it kind of dynamic EQs where you set your threshold and that attack and release is pretty fixed in that regard. But this is actually giving me some kind of control on how it attacks and releases. The other thing here is this scale or this time knob. And basically what this time knob does, it allows you to manipulate whatever parameters they have set forth in tight and smooth just a bit more, whether it's slowing down the attack more or making the attack faster or whatever it may be. So if I take it, let's just listen to what it sounds like.
I never wanna see you with somebody. I never wanna hear about your name. I never wanna fill my bed without you. Everybody want but they can't taste the scent of your perfume on my sheets. You're stimulating every sense of me. I'm doing everything just to keep you. You the only one I see. But I know right now that your love ain't free.
So the biggest thing I'm noticing is when I'm changing it is one, the release, right? When I had it more to the left-hand side, you notice that the release felt a lot faster. And when I had it to the right-hand side, you notice that the release felt a lot slower, holding the compression longer. This parameter allows us to manipulate the fixed kind of attack and releases that tight and smooth already has to our liking. So we can get even more detail with the type and style and feel of the compression that we're getting as far as that dynamic EQ is attacking, as well as if we put the target to the plus mode and expand it on it as well. The last thing I'll show you is on the right hand side, we have the ability to solo the mids and solo the highs by itself. Check out what it sounds like.
I never wanna see you with somebody. I never wanna hear about your name. I never wanna you're stimulating every sense of me.
So you have the ability to go back and forth between the mids and the highs. Now, granted, this is a vocal, this is a mono signal, but also realize that there are plate verbs and reverbs and delays that you put in a vocal. So of course, you can actually EQ in stereo technically if you're processing a vocal post its time-based effects and things of that nature. Just for my sticklers out there that say, he tried to put the side information on a mono vocal. Yes, if you actually throw reverbs and plate verbs and stuff like that on it, it's technically stereo because it's occupying the stereo field with the reverbs and stuff like that. So that is the Infinity EQ 2 from Slate Digital. I hope you enjoyed that. Once again, draw your own conclusions and opinions about the plugin. If you're interested in getting the plugin though, I'll leave a link in the description below. You're definitely gonna see me be using this a lot for its dynamic EQ section because I really like the way it sounds. And if you do too, then use it for yourself. I hope you enjoyed that. Please make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. And also, if you have any questions or concerns, also leave a comment below. Hope you enjoyed. Until next time, y'all.